In light of Miss Rona, the boys at BGO Pod have adapted a virtual platform to conduct and record interviews with this season's very special opinionated people, or BSOPs for short.
We thank you for bearing with any technical difficulties in advance. This pandemic has been raggedy, but in spite of, the conversations we've had with our BSOPs have been refreshing and were well worth the technical struggle.
This episode is also brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard already, Anchor is the easiest way to start your podcast.
Big facts. 1, it's free. 2, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your track straight from your phone or computer.
3, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many, many more. And 4, you can make money with no limited listenership.
It's everything you need for a podcast in one place. Carlton and I have been using Anchor for a few months now, and we're a bit obsessed.
Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Don't wait, honey. Your future listeners are waiting.
Now, enjoy the show.
You have reached the voicemail box of
Carlton Taylor
And Sean Brinkley.
We are unable to answer the phone right now.
So either fuck off or enjoy the show.
Ain't a period.
When are you going to get the...
I was going to order them tonight.
Okay, do you think we'll have them on Sunday?
I can check and see. We're also recording, by the way.
Yay.
It says Saturday, October 3rd.
All right. If it doesn't get here on time,
Bust the nut.
I'm going to do exactly what they did in California. I'm not going to say specifics because they're going to come and lock me up.
What happened in California?
They burnt down the Amazon warehouse.
Did they? They did. You talking about during the riots?
Yes.
They did. They did. They definitely did.
I'm not going to do that.
That's a mood, though.
I actually may do it, but I'm not going to do it for the sake of me not getting arrested.
That's fair. Did you see that? I sent you a lot of stuff today because I was trying to make you feel better. Did you watch any of those?
I didn't watch none of them. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm like so anti my happiness right now. It makes no sense.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's terrible. I'm praying that tomorrow's gonna be better.
I hope so. I'm finna show you one of these videos. Y'all gonna have to bear with us because I'm about to get Carlton because we done went through it today.
Yeah.
And he done had a day. But my spirits are still high. I don't know for what reason because it's really been some bullshit setting up this mic today.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna talk too much shit about the mic.
No, but you need to be in a good spirit because both of us being in bad spirits, we'll end up like we did.
Right.
What was it? 4 years ago, 4th of July.
Just both of us just just crying.
Just drunk.
No, I'm about to
Sad.
show you one of these videos.
What? Oh my god. Damn. What was that, a seagull?
I think a goose.
What did he do to it?
I don't know. I feel like he was. Well, it's
You
no
think he was
telling.
probably fucking with it.
He probably was. You know the little white children. They don't know how to keep them hands to themselves.
And so that geese
That's
had
cool.
time.
He did. He was like, you know what? You have me fucked up today. You have me fucked up. Granted, geese really be like aggressive as fuck. They really be like in your pathway, whatever the fuck. Mm-hmm. So it's no telling who was in the wrong, but knowing little white children.
Oh my god, I have to.
They don't know.
Sure I love that.
They don't know how to keep them hands to themselves.
I gotta make sure I love that so I can post it when it's time.
I got it. Yeah, I sent it to you.
Yeah.
But y'all, I wanted Carlton to have a little giggle because he's been down in the dumps, much like the presidential debate last night. But we not gonna get too far into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Next episode.
But I mean, we're here.
We are here. God is good.
What's going on with you? How you holding up?
I'm not. Hopefully my posture is picking up. I don't know. Anyway, I'm grateful to be alive.
Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least you're not straying towards the suicide portion of it.
Yeah. Very much true.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so optimistic these days.
Yeah.
And I think my optimism is starting to, I don't know, like, I just hope I don't know. I just hope I don't, I still don't know.
I mean, what do you feel like puts you in these spaces, though?
The fact that other people are so pessimistic and so, like, I feel like I have so much to contribute and people just do not listen or give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it's everybody. It's just that the people that need to be listening just don't listen. I feel it at work. I feel it in my family life. And I feel like I only have control over so much. And so, like, today I decided to clean my front door because I can clean my front door.
Yeah.
And it can look nice.
Yeah.
And I put a fucking reef up.
Mm-hmm.
And now my front door looks the best out of the front doors on my floor.
Yeah.
And that is where I found my happiness today.
Small victories.
And that's what today was.
Small victories.
Because there's just so much in my life that I feel like I can't control just yet. And that really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
But for what it's worth, I know it's building me toward being a better leader in the future, toward being a better parent, toward being a better sense of support for people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think in present day, I always aim to make people feel good around me. And I think I've always been that way. I've always been somebody that just carried themselves with so much love. Mm-hmm. And so when I didn't get love in return, I felt unsupported.
Yeah.
And I made that very apparent today in a conversation that I had with my mom today. And basically she just responded to me not too long ago and she was like, don't feel bad for having opinions. Like, that's okay. And I was like, I kind of looked at it and I was like, all right, whatever. But, I mean, that's just kind of where I feel. I just kind of feel like people just aren't listening right now. And I think my black gay ass has a lot of valid things to say. And I think that people do a really good job at trying to invalidate those things out of their own lack of understanding. I don't even know if any of that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
But that's kind of where I am. And so I'm just hoping, and I'm grateful for you because if it was up to me, I would have been like, fuck it. We just going to reschedule because I'm good. I'm good for just being like, I can't.
I try to push through.
No, praise God for that.
I try to push through.
I think the Lord knows what he's doing when he offers us. Because first off, like, we both know what it's like for us both to be down in the dumps at the same time. And the Lord was like, okay, I can't have them go out like that. Now, it's hump day. Like, they supposed to be acknowledging that they made it halfway through the week.
Right.
I'm going to give at least one of them just a little bit more.
Just something.
Just a little bit more something. A little bit more security, honey. A little bit more oomph. Pep in they step. Because, honey.
Yeah.
I've just been... And you know what? I think it's a matter of how I'm personally feeling. It's a matter of like the state of our nation, the state of the world. It's just so many different things.
Yeah. And
the weather's fucking changing.
It was so nice today, but it was cold as fuck. Like, it was really chilly.
But you know, remember when we were together last week and I said it felt eerie?
Yeah.
I still very much so feel that. I'm probably not going to not feel that way until it gets closer to the holiday season. I think late August all the way until like November, like mid-November, I always feel like kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, seasonal depression is a thing. It's a whole thing.
Well, a bitch feel like 2020 has been a season because I've been depressed the whole motherfucking year.
That's fair.
It's been a shitty year, y'all, but I'm so grateful. And I say it's been a shitty year, but I turn around and say I'm grateful because I really am. Shit could be so much worse.
Yeah.
But I still feel how I feel, and that's just valid as fuck to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's beautiful because basically what you did with the putting a reef up on your door, that was you identifying the things that you can control, and not putting too much energy in the things you can't control. So, I mean, personally for me and just what I've experienced in therapy over the past, granted, that hoe ain't called me back yet to schedule my next appointment, but whatever. I've taken what I've could from the whole thing, and I mean, I think you did really good with just, all right, you know what? I can't do shit else today, but I'm about to put this motherfucking reef up.
And I did.
And you did.
And I swept my rug, the outdoor rug. I swept around the front a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt good in that.
You should. And I mean, we're here recording. Even after the countless just discrepancies, bullshit, whatever else you want to call it.
Yeah. So Sean and I have to get new cables for our mics because the ones that Blue gave us just gave the fuck up on on itself.
It had the blues. Just sad. Just sad.
Like the way
I saw that spark come out that cable and I was just like,
that's scary. I didn't see.
And my dumb ass was trying to put it back together.
I saw the metal bit in Sean's fingers, and I said, Sean, let's just go to Walmart. And so we took our asses to Walmart, and we searched high and low for this one cable. Get the fucking cable, and the cable don't fit. Because y'all know them what's it called? A multi-connector cable?
Yeah, multi-adapter, whatever.
Yeah, so it'd be having like 20 different cables on it. And you know, it don't give you much wiggle room. And so it's this fat ass, like, I don't even know what to call this thing.
It looked like a scarecrow. You know how a scarecrow is built? Like, it looked like a scarecrow, and at each end of the hand, where the hands would be on the scarecrow, that's where a different plug is.
Yes. And the head is a plug, too.
Yeah.
Now, no, wait. If the head was the right plug, it probably would have, no, it wouldn't have.
Because it's awkwardly shaped.
It's awkwardly shaped, and there's like this rod, like this resin part of the mic that allows you to screw it into like a arm, and it just wouldn't fit. But the ones that come with the Yeti,
it's just a wire.
Yeah, it's just the wire and it accommodates. It's not nearly as fat.
And you would think, and we was talking about this on the way back from Walmart, like with Apple and stuff. You would think they would construct certain things like you have to plug the shit in. Why the fuck would you put a motherfucking fork in the road, goddamn crossroad type of piece of shit Lego contraption at the end of a charger when you gotta plug it up to different shit? That don't make no sense. More than likely the shit not gonna fit into whatever you gotta plug it into.
Yeah, especially if it's a tight fit.
But anyways.
Yeah. Because the iPad Pros come with the USB-C's like the Thunderbolt cable that you like connect into the new MacBooks.
Yeah. And
a USB, but it doesn't give you a fucking block to put it in. And the only way you're gonna have no.
Yours didn't come with a block?
It's the lightning connector and a USB-C 3. Yeah. USB-C. Yeah. USB-C. Yeah. This too much shit. But the only way you're going to be able to connect the USB-C into anything is if you have a block. And the only thing that I have is my 2 Mac chargers. Mm-hmm. Thankfully. But if I was just an ignorant bitch, I'm not going to say ignorant bitch, but if I just thought it came with a USB and a lightning cable, just like everything else Apple does. Yeah. I'll open that damn box and be like, what the fuck? But thankfully it does work with because it's the lightning cable. Right. But the other side,
it's useless.
It's useless if you don't have a block that can accommodate it. Yeah. It's just so It does not come with a block, to answer your question, no. It just comes with a fucking wire. And it has the charging case, which is dope. I love the charging case because you can not charge, like your fucking AirPods could be dead as fuck, and you put them in a case, and the case be at like 55%, and it'll charge it. Like all it needs is like 15 minutes, and you'll have 2 hours of use, which I think is pretty cool. But stop half-assing us. Stop giving us 85% Apple when we want 100, and we're paying 100% money. That's just where I'm at.
Yeah, a place to be.
Man, fuck this shit. This is ghetto. This is
A place
so
to
ghetto.
be.
But yeah, I am going to get my act together so that we can get through this episode.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really good. We've had some really good people join us for the social justice segment. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to unpacking everything. Yeah. So, you want to take a little commercial break?
Yeah, we can.
What are we at on time? Where are we at?
15
minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. I wonder what we've been talking about for 15 minutes. I feel like it's just been depressing as fuck.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You know, we gonna get them back up.
Okay.
You know, we a little soft right now, but we gonna get them back erect in a little bit.
Now we flaccid.
All right, let's take a break.
All right.
In light of Miss Rona, the boys at BGO Pod have adapted a virtual platform to conduct and record interviews with this season's very special opinionated people, or VSOPs for short.
We thank you for bearing with any technical difficulties in advance. This pandemic has been raggedy, but in spite of, the conversations we've had with our VSOPs have been refreshing and were well worth the technical struggle.
This episode is also brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard already, Anchor is the easiest way to start your podcast.
It's everything you need for a podcast in one place. Carlton and I have been using Anchor for a few months now, and we're a bit obsessed.
Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Don't wait, honey. Your future listeners are waiting.
Now, enjoy the show. Alrighty, we are back.
I'm back.
Back and we're better.
Back and better.
For the most part.
Yeah, I'll probably be better tomorrow. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know. This week has just been... Anyway, we're talking about social justice.
Yeah. Wrapping it up.
Wrapping it up, honey. And so this season, we were fortunate to have NK, who is... He's the artistic director, right? That's his name.
for my dance company, yeah.
Artistic director for... I'm going to butcher the name. Say it.
Adinkra African Dance Theater.
I always want to say Ndrinka.
A lot of people do. It's because how it's spelled.
Adinkra.
It's Adinkra.
Adinkra Dance Company.
African Dance Theater.
African Dance Theater. Mm-hmm. Praise God for a good thesaurus.
Yes.
So we had NK come in and Sashay speaking about their first generation experience, and how that's how, you know, social justice has kind of played, or at least how they've been able to kind of find their positioning.
Yeah. As
first generation Americans. And we had a conversation with Ajené recently.
Which was great.
Yeah, it was amazing. Who came from education standpoint, teaching K through 12, right?
Yep.
So, what were some of your biggest takeaways? I mean, I feel like social justice, we could talk about it for probably the rest of the existence of this podcast and still not cover all of it.
Right.
Same with pop culture and religion. But social justice, like, I think we took a very... We offered a different perspective that I feel like people can really resonate with.
Yeah.
Either from experience or from hearing somebody else's experience or from just offering a new perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I think we sort of... Because the consensus that I got from NK and Sashay, I really held on to the uncomfortability that they felt when it came to them sort of existing in black spaces and existing in America, especially with their parents having strong cultural ties and actually being born out of the country and coming over here and raising people. in ideals and beliefs and religions associated with their country of origin. And just, I think we had a very holistic approach to what it means to be educated in this country through Ajené this past week, because we talked about K through 12 and what she does in that environment and what some things she experienced. And then we talked about, I mean, we've always talked about our higher education experience, but I mean, she's in a PhD program now. So just.
And Ivy League.
Right. So going back to the comfortability factor and hearing Ajené just talk about creating spaces that ideally people are comfortable in, I think that's something that's the biggest takeaway for me overall when it comes to social justice, because the idea, I mean, when we think about the ideology of us being okay in like our whole podcast, like we need spaces that we need to be comfortable in, and social justice overall, that's what we're fighting for. I think people just need to get a motherfucking grip.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Motherfucking grip on what it means to make people comfortable, because it's not always about these grand gestures. Sometimes it's about the little things. I mean, even bringing in the presidential debate from last night, President Trump. Ooh, not president. He's not my president. Ooh. Trump failed to condemn white supremacy.
Sure did.
And I think that speaks way louder volumes than any policy you've ever passed, anything you put into act, anything you sign in your time as president. That was an opportunity for you to openly talk about and really start addressing the racial issues in this country, and you just failed so many Americans.
Yeah, he's racist.
You literally failed, and you empowered the people who have been trying to put us down for centuries.
Because he agrees with them.
Yeah,
And
that's
a lot of Americans do. Yeah.
And I just, what really blows me about it too, because we talk about making people comfortable and, you know, putting people in spaces where they can actually be productive citizens, productive students, whatever it may be. Freaking, it's people who don't take those things into consideration that spit the most rhetoric about I've done the most for your community, or I've actually done something, especially to discredit other parties that actively speak out against. And I'm not saying Democrats are perfect, but you know, there's this constant sort of rhetoric about Democrats have failed people of color, have failed minority populations and all that other stuff. No, I think America as a whole has failed. And that's what really blows me about, because honestly, I'm really not in favor of any party right now, to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm voting for Biden-Harris because I simply know it's better than Trump.
Yeah.
I think what our challenge is with that is we're definitely going to have to hold them accountable, especially with some of their things that they've implemented policy-wise in the past. We're just going to have to hold them accountable.
Yes.
And we have to follow through. But Trump just not it. I don't care, Republican, Democrat. Him, that motherfucker, goldfish, whatever you want to call him, he is just not it as a whole. And I didn't even know that he took away, because to reinforce your comment on him being racist, he took away all of the racial sensitivity training. Did you hear that part of the?
Yeah, I heard it. He said he took it away because he was hearing feedback that people thought it was a waste of time, and that they were taking classes that
they were ruining the American.
Yeah, that they thought were basically teaching people to hate America.
That's bullshit.
That is bullshit.
People hate America simply because of the shit that
it's based
done.
off of racism. It's an entire, and we talked about this when we were closing out religion. America is based off of some very fucked up ideals.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, he kept talking about bringing America back, bringing America back. No, honey, America needs to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And the only way we're going to do that is if we talk about the validity in being American and not just falling within this this ideal or this idea of what people think it is to be American. I think that's always been an extremely flawed thing. And for me, I see America, like, for its inception to be so messy.
Yeah.
I honestly see America as a melting pot, and I see America as a new opportunity. You know, like when people come to this country, and I mean, to even tie it into like you know, NK and Sashay's experience. When people come to this country, they come to this country with an understanding that they're going to be able to get something that they weren't able, or have access to something that they didn't have access to in their home country. And for people who it is our home country, we're still trying to figure out what that access is. And so you're going to get dissonance, and you're going to get things, because in so many ways we're trying to navigate through the society that, if anything, reinforces hate for anything that doesn't fall in line with white, doesn't fall in line with Christian, doesn't fall in line with basically the fucking story of the founding fathers, essentially. Like, if it doesn't align with what that was, even though in so many ways which is so flawed and so contradictive, then it's considered wrong, or it's considered not right. And for me, I just feel like America has always been so much more than that.
Yeah.
Like, African Americans, Latinx Americans, Asian Americans, white Americans, First Americans, all of us make America what it is.
Yeah.
And
at some point in history, we've all had a hand.
A hand in something. Like LGBTQ Americans. I didn't realize, and honestly, this may be an assumption. I need to Google fact check this. Yeah, because what I was about to say was going to be problematic.
We try not to be problematic.
Yeah, try not to be problematic. I'm probably going to do some fact checking in a bit. I'm not going to take up too much time on that. But it's in so many ways, people who have been considered different have done things to really push us to be a better country and a better place.
Right.
And I think we need to continue along that. I don't think we need to do anything to go backwards. And I think Trump makes a lot of people feel comfortable in their lack of advancement, or their lack of wanting to be to advance. I think he makes a lot of people comfortable in their racism, in their xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia. I think he makes people very comfortable with that. And it's so interesting to me, because there are so many people that we interact with that support Trump that you wouldn't know support Trump. And there are people who we keep close to us, but they're not going to talk about it because they're afraid to talk about it. They're like, I'm low-key ashamed because these people in my circle probably wouldn't treat me the same because of these ideals that I have. But they turn around and they go to the polls and they do what they got to do.
But I think that was my question for you, because just thinking about, because I ran into, there's this congresswoman, or this woman in Baltimore who's running for Congress, and she's Republican. I didn't realize she was Republican until after I scrolled through her page. I try to scroll through people's pages and get a read for them before I start making assumptions. Just a little bit about her platform, she was basically talking about just rebuilding Baltimore and bringing back its former glory, and just doing a lot of things that, she had a lot of good stances on the issues, but the reason I clicked on her page in the first place is because she was a black Republican who introduced Trump in the Atlanta rally that he had or whatever. And my question for you, just based on Ajené talking through her experience, coming from South Georgia and you know, not necessarily having that connection to what it means to be black in this country. You know, really existing in that weird space, going to Spelman and finding what that means for her. And then, like, I mean, she's pursuing education policy now, and creating environments for students to be comfortable, to create room for growth, and to continue pushing this country forward, like you said. But you have individuals, you know, who are supporting Trump. You have the Attorney General, who, I mean, appears to have some type of, I'm not going to say he grew up around white people his whole life, but based on his page, it looks like that's all he's around. His wife is white. All of his posts is white. He's Republican. Like,
yeah, he joined a organization, NPHC.
Right.
Which is just like,
I just, like, what do you do with people like that? Because you have, I mean, Trump has been doing things like he did in the presidential debate for years, but, and I can't, things have been blatant, but it wasn't as blatant as what happened at the presidential debate. It's like, what do you do with those people who still support him after that? Because obviously he does not care about your black ass. Doesn't care about your gay ass. He doesn't care about your trans ass. Not to be offensive about any of those terms we're throwing out, but I'm just saying he doesn't give a fuck about you. So how can you even, what are they missing that Ajené had? You know? Right. What connection? I'm not following. What do you think that is?
Well, I just think a lot of people, I think what's really unfortunate is that I think I have a very similar mentality that Ajené has, that I need to get into these spaces and I need to lead with love, and I need to lead with the idea that your identity and how you exist, there's validity in that. I think a lot of people realize that there's a shortcoming with them not being the majority.
Right,
and
naturally.
They assimilate instead of go against the grain to make things more comfortable for themselves. And I think they expect other people to do the same thing. And they try to use that to
justify everything else.
Not to necessarily justify everything else, but as a way to, like, navigate how complex things can get for their own personal gain. Because I know when we had that conversation with Ajené, it was like I brought up how I have some black male gay friends that if they weren't black and if they weren't gay, they would probably be extremely conservative. And those two things it's really hard, I believe, for somebody to identify with all those things and still try to figure out how they can pioneer this space with that and be taken seriously. And still have something like that on their quote unquote back. And the reason why I say that is because I've had people tell me that I have targets on my back. Naturally, because I'm black, and then I add more by confirming that I'm gay, and I add more by having long hair, and I add more by being a part of a gay men's chorus and all this extra shit. As if this is not stuff that I feel helps me express who I am as a person. And I think instead of compromising and assimilating, I just be. Yeah. Right? And I think that frustrates people that don't feel like they can do that.
Yeah, i.e. our parents, older generations, baby boomers, whatever it may be.
Daniel Cameron. Like,
Lord bless him.
Like, we just going to keep throwing them out.
Right.
People just feel as if they can't be. And I feel like that's something that our people have really struggled with. We couldn't be with our natural hair. And so black women permed their hair to like white women. Yeah. We couldn't be with, and I mean, to kind of flip the narrative, like white women couldn't be with their regular bodies. And so they had to fill it with silicone to be voluminous with things and look like something that they weren't born with. I feel like with gay men, we feel like in order for us to be taken serious in the workplace, we can't always, flaunt ourselves. Or people who are men, period. If they want to be taken seriously in the world, they can't be gay. You know what I'm saying? they can't lead with that.
Yeah.
That's what they tried to beat down Lil Nas X with. They were saying that black men were saying that he was destroying his career by coming out the closet that early.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at him now. Like, literally, he has a contest with Adobe going on at this very moment. He is a Fenty skin model. He is. And this is stuff outside of him doing music.
Yeah.
You know, right? He did that line with our boy Christian, who is known for pushing that boundary in fashion.
Yeah.
And it's just really frustrating because you have people who are just like, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to be authentic in my experience, and I'm going to find validity in that. Mm-hmm. And you have people who are just okay with just what's the word I'm looking for? Assimilating. That's not the word I was looking for, but just basically like watering themselves down.
But
to be accepted.
Tito Carlton, a lot of people in the black community do that on a regular basis. And it's not even, I think we're talking about the extreme side where, you know, it's that complete lack of, or some kind of disconnect from your identity. And I'm not going to say disconnect because you know your skin is brown. Like, that's, I mean, unless you really just, I don't know. That, I hope not.
I mean, honey, ain't no fucking
but
telling.
This idea that your identity doesn't impact the people around you and the decisions that you make. You have the people like that. But honestly, Carlton, you have, I think, a mass majority, even though it's not that, is still some form of that. And I think that's where we get into a lot of the problems that we see in the black community, because that's where we get, all right, it's all right to be black, but I don't know about that gay shit. I don't know about that trans shit. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I think people start watering themselves down at various levels, and I think it needs to be transparency across the board, because we sit here and hone in on, all right, this person is problematic, the racists are problematic, but we don't actually sit and come into ourselves and be like, I may actually like men. And going back to that whole some of the things in our pop culture segment, not to jump subtopics or whatever, but we sit there and let some of the things that are circulating around us via the media, via our family and friends, via how we were brought up, and sort of, attempt to, I think people find comfortability in making other people comfortable so they treat them better. Or not, I won't even say treat them better, but just not having this natural negative reaction. I think that's how people tend to, and I think it's very subconscious, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. Because I know for me, and it's maybe just I'm conditioned that way, I don't know, but I naturally just want to be myself. And I don't start feeling a way till later when people start treating me differently.
Right.
Does that all make sense?
Yes, that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was saying earlier to my mom. I'm like, I think I naturally lead with love, and people just kind of get in the way of that just by being people. And that's when she kind of went in and she was like, you give too much power to people. And I was like, okay, whatever. But I think a big thing is you just can't lose, because to your point, it's a conversation of like professionalism and like how your hair should look, and this idea of like, it's all these different constructs that we've gone about to kind of use as ways to put people in categories as to what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Mm-hmm. And I think it does nothing but further increases the divide that we experience as a community. Because there's absolutely nothing wrong. Oh God, it's nothing wrong with people just being true to themselves.
Yeah.
And I think we deserve a government that is reflective of that. And Trump's administration does nothing but perpetuate hate and perpetuate
hypocrisy.
hypocrisy,
'Cause you think
and
about the
crime.
You think about the idea of America. That's the most positive intent, because there was a lot of shit surrounding it, but the whole idea of America is for you to be an individual and for you to have some type of freedom. Granted, it was focused on religious freedom in the context of Christianity, but
And a white man's freedom.
right, in a white man's freedom, but the ideology that you can be something other, like you can govern yourself to some extent.
Right.
And you can see, as I think that's how we got to where we are in America today, and where we started implementing a lot of things. Granted, we have a lot of work to do, but America grew into this thing of, I can go here and I can be what I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's where you have people migrating here. You know, I feel like we're one of the most diverse countries in the world, but so many things have just been threaded in that we don't want to address. And I think that's my biggest problem with President Trump. You don't want to address that. And Biden said it. I didn't believe when he said it, but there's systematic shit that has been threaded in for centuries that you have to deal with in order for shit to get better. It's not making America great again. It's not having a pro-American doctrine. It's about having equality for all the people that are in this country.
Right.
And if you cannot say that as a politician, I don't give a fuck who you are. Republican, Democrat, green tea, booty hole, Pornhub, it don't matter. I need you to be advocating for every single person in this country, especially if you're going to be in a position that you're in. And then the whole tax shit, but it's not a surprise.
Yeah, yeah, it's really fucked up, because for what it's worth, I mean, we know that naturally humans tend to gravitate toward negativity before they gravitate toward positivity. As of right now, speaking about the Democratic and the Republican Party, there's a moral difference, right? And I brought this up in a conversation that I was having with Aaron and JT, and we're going to have Aaron on the podcast soon. So I'm really excited for that. But that's basically where it came down to, that the Republicans are willing to play dirty to get what they want, to keep control, to keep power, and the Democrats are always going to take the moral high ground. And I think longevity-wise, and with the way that because America is still a new country compared to other countries, I feel like there's longevity in the Democrats' approach. I think the Republicans are going to really find themselves in a very difficult situation some years later, where, and I mean, honestly, I made a thing, like, I think Trump needs to make his own party and call it the elitist party, because that's what he is. He's an elitist, and I feel like, you know, for what it's worth, there's some pros and cons to both sides, but I just feel like Trump just takes this extreme route sometimes, and I think there's longevity in what the Democratic Party is doing, even though they can do some cricket shit sometimes too. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the way the Republicans work, from what I know, from what I pick up, it's like, it's this level of like, we're gonna always come through for our own, and then the Democrats kind of like, it's like I said, it's always that moral high ground. If something happens that's problematic, they'll completely detach themselves from that person. So I wanted to be made very clear, fuck Trump, and he needs to be out of office, and he doesn't need to do anything government related.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And so for what it's worth, like, I keep saying that shit. I feel like it's just a filler.
But it is
term.
for what it's worth.
I mean, so for what it's worth, I mean, like, there's, and I'm going to go into depth about what I mean about longevity. Like, taking a moral high ground, I think there's just so much more that you can get out of that. First off, I believe that karma's a bitch. And so if you go into something you have ill intent, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think Republicans, especially those that are just like diehard Republicans, and it doesn't matter who's on the ticket or who's in office, if they're Republican, they're going to do these things to keep their people in power. I think that's very, I mean, we see it in Scandal.
Yeah.
Like how everything started to crumble around Olivia. with all the lies that she was kind of like keeping away from the American public.
Yeah.
Like, that will take a toll on you. And I think that even though
she
the
lost her
Democrats,
shit,
yeah, she
too.
did. And it's like, even though the Democrats may be criticized because they take these moral high grounds and they may have times where they're a little bit more crooked, I mean, they're human, and I think they realize their humanness, or their humanity, and I think that's something that the Republicans can really learn from them. And I think it's going to serve as a disservice to the Republican Party if they continue just not working in the interest of their public.
Yeah.
Like, of the American people.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest thing when it comes to educating people and having conversations with, you know, the people around you, and not even just the people around you and in our community, but all Americans. And I don't really like to use the term Americans because America's fucked up, but all the people in this country who have some level of decorum about themselves, regardless of their color. It's not about your party. It's not about your ties to something. It's not about what your family has done. It all comes back to, are these people working in the best interest of your life? And not the bullshit interests or the interests that really don't need to be an interest, like racism and systematic oppression and all that bullshit. But I'm talking about
Voter suppression.
Healthcare. I'm talking about, you know, what is it going to be like when you're 50 and you can't work anymore, 60 when you can't work anymore, taxes, child care. Like, those are the things we really need to be looking at, and we just get so blindsided. I mean, I think this has came up in pretty much all of our topics at this point. People are so blindsided by shit that you don't actually recognize some of the things that you need to focus on for you to actually have a better life. Because Trump, at the end of the day, he don't give a fuck about nobody.
Yeah.
Republican, white, black, he only gives a fuck about himself. And if you can't...
And his name.
Right, and his name. Because even looking at his website... I don't know why I was looking at his website, but I think I was just out of curiosity, like, what is his actual outlook on, you know, healthcare, racial. I mean, I know he don't give a fuck about people of color, but I was looking for certain things to actually have a firm stance to talk about policies with people. But plastered across the website is Trump for this, Trump for that, or this for Trump, this for Trump, this for Trump. He doesn't give a fuck about any of them. And how he has his support thing built out on his page, it's pride for Trump, and cops for Trump, and women for Trump, and blacks for Trump, and veterans for Trump. Like,
but no context.
No context.
Just a logo.
No. He's literally using everything and everybody to keep himself in power. And if you can't see that as, I mean, a person with common sense, I mean, you just as problematic as him.
And my thing is, like, I've been seeing a lot of the advertisements that I've been seeing about his campaign have been, like, black people have been in them.
Yeah.
And I don't even listen to it. I don't pay it no fucking mind, because I'm like, I know you're gonna sound like an Uncle Tom. Like, I know you're gonna be on some
pro-patriotic,
yeah,
pro-Americanism.
Like, fuck that. I don't want to hear that. And I don't want to hear whatever script the Trump administration typed up for you to recite. Because there's just no justification in my head that I can think of to why somebody would want to support a man that's just so honestly anti-American.
Yeah.
I don't think he's American. I think he wants, because that idea of making America great again, America was never great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that this is a country that was built off of stolen land, built off the backs of stolen people.
Ooh,
And continues,
that statement hits different.
Yeah, it sure does. And continues to monopolize off of stolen ideas, thoughts,
Yeah.
and it's just fraudulent. It's fraudulent.
Which, I mean, he is.
He's extremely fraudulent.
In probably every aspect.
But it's crazy because a lot of Americans are.
Yeah.
I feel like a majority of the people, I'm not going to say a majority of the people, but I feel like there's a lot of people in America who are scamming people, not just of finances, but of personality, of hope, optimism, like just completely scamming people of
But that's
true
interesting though.
humanity.
Because it's almost like, who are we really mad at? Because based off that statement right there, it's like, yeah, Trump is doing all this bullshit, but who put him in office?
The racists and the bigots and misogynists.
His co-workers and fellow party mates are allowing him to do certain things.
Mm-hmm. Because they don't give a fuck either.
It speaks bigger.
It's not just
It's
him.
bigger picture.
He just amplifies it.
Yeah.
And he's in this office where people feel empowered because it's the highest office in the land, right?
Yeah, and technically the strongest in the world, if you want to think about it.
Right. But like anybody that knows anything about U.S. government, it's not just Trump. He has an administration. There's a legislative branch. There's a judicial branch, and can't speak today. And all of these different people are enabling Trump to continue doing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Or even if there are people who are fighting for the opposite to happen, mm-hmm. I mean, for what it's worth, some of those things may be falling on deaf ears because of who the majority is. Like right now, the Senate is Republican. Mm-hmm. You know, he's trying to appoint his own like justices that reflect his ideals and
have a certain bias.
Have a bias toward, you know, legislation that he would probably endorse, and I just think it's very frustrating. But all in all, I am doing what I can to be hopeful as we approach this next election, and you know, hopefully we were able to plant some seeds in people's skulls about the importance of self-awareness and of voting this year, and from this point forward, just get your ass out and vote. Exercise your First Amendment right to vote.
That's on period.
That's where I am. So I know there were some recent developments at Kennesaw that you want to talk about.
Child, it's wild. So turns out that the cop who was responsible for the murder of Rayshard Brooks, did I say that name right? Mm-hmm. Was a KSU student, and he has pulled KSU into his character reference or character. I don't know, whatever it is where they essentially pull in different avenues of your life to attest to, you know, your good work and, you know, your ability to be a good person, that you've been a good person. So, this article or this information came out probably a week before, you know, the SGA and some of the, you know, activist groups on campus caught wind of it. And I had saw it circulating because I'm still connected to some of the people who I went to school with at Kennesaw, and some people are still in school. So I saw a lot of this before administration actually knew about it. But KSU SGA released a statement talking about condemning the individual and basically saying that Kennesaw State needs to do more and not essentially cover it up.
So it was a call to action from the SGA.
Yeah.
Because I read the letter and I thought it was very admirable, because they were basically like, you know, KSU can't say anything because of some
FERPA.
type of, because of FERPA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's his information.
Yes.
Right. So KSU can't say anything, but they were like, "But we can,"
Yeah.
because of just our stature in the organization, and we want to ensure that their support. Because do you know the demographic of your current SGA? Right, a lot of them black.
Well, the president is a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. So,
Oh.
Tariq from Southwest. Do you remember him?
Tariq from Southwest.
He came in under us. I think he did track. You may or may not have known him.
His name sounds familiar. Is he light skinned?
Yeah, he's on the lighter side. But you probably know him if you see him.
Yeah.
Because he knows all of us.
Okay.
So, he's the president.
Well, I love it. It reminds me of the statement that the NAACP came out with. I forgot the exact situation. Was it the voter suppression? It was something that the Georgia NAACP came out with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not coming to me, but it was a call to action to the governor's office type of ordeal.
Yeah.
And so this public organization, and in this case, it's a highly recognized organization on any collegiate campus, the SGA, basically holding, as they're supposed to do, the SGA is the voice of the student, the student body. And so I think that was extremely admirable and a really good step. And the points that were, it was very direct as to we're not taking any bullshit. Mm-hmm. And as a student body of the school, aka the people who are paying for this bitch to thrive, I'm gonna need y'all to do something about it.
Yeah.
Because we don't stand next to that being brought in and reflecting our institution when we're actually doing work to prevent the situations like that from happening.
And to add another layer to it, and I won't talk about too much, because I of course I know a little bit more working at the institution.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not going to dive into like what those things are out of respect for my job.
Yeah.
And the fact that I work at the institution, but to add another layer to it, I didn't send you the article, but in the article basically ends with, because every time that something like that happens on campus or related to KSU, they make a public statement. And I think as of last semester, there was a situation where a black female basketball player committed a crime or a felony, and they made a public statement about it. But the same thing didn't happen with this, and I'm not sure, because I know those things get sticky, especially when it comes to especially when it comes to FERPA. So me sort of playing devil's advocate when it comes to advocating for the institution, they may be in a bind where they really can't say nothing.
Yeah.
Especially because FERPA, like that's very detailed in a list of rights that every student has. That's, it protects students. And FERPA's in place. For the most part, it's for the favor of the people. And I'm not sure if I'm politically correct for saying this or not. I don't really care because it's not okay. But honestly, it's working in the favor of someone who's committed a crime. Mm-hmm. And Kennesaw may just really be in a bind. But I don't know, when we talk about advocating and us sort of going back to our conversation on politicians, if you aren't able, I understand they may got you in a bind. Mm-hmm. They may have something against you, or there may be something legal involved with it. But outside of that, you do need to speak on, we cannot condemn racial inequality. I don't feel like inequality. I don't feel like that's a hard thing to do. That's not political. That's not legal, And the way Trump responded, the way institutions respond, you have other interests at play, and it just shows. Mm-hmm. It shows through your actions. Mm-hmm. You can be fucked up and in a messed up situation and still speak out against it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of, what the basketball players have did, what the football players have did, what people across several different major media outlets have done. It may not have been okay, in the context of their job, but they said it and it was right and it wasn't untrue.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the holdup about you openly speaking out against this? No, it's because either you feel that way or you got something in the works with someone who does.
Right. I agree. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And that's just it. And we need to get to and that's the real message for voters. And especially for voters of color, if they can't sit there and be like, nope, this is fucked up. I'm working through all of my avenues, every connection I have, to stand for the equality of all Americans and Americans with the best interests of other Americans in their heart. You don't need to be in office. You don't need to vote for them.
Right, you don't need to vote for them. And I mean, I think just period. Like, it all goes back to just being a decent fucking person. At this point, it's not about Joe Biden. It's about LGBTQ rights. It's about so many different things. But for what it's worth, hold on, y'all. We're going to take a break.
We're back.
Sorry about that. We
Somebody got a little,
I'm telling you.
little doom,
Right.
doom.
we got a little happy.
That was a great sort of relax though.
Yeah.
Convo was intense.
It was intense. But you know what? Shit happens when you don't have a studio and soundproof rooms.
Right.
Sometimes you just gotta tell
Shit happens.
your neighbors to just.
Don't. Oh my God.
But it's not about Joe Biden. We're gonna vote for him, but it's about gun violence. It's about LGBTQ rights. It's about COVID relief. It's about the economy. It's about women's rights. It's about Black Lives Matter. It's about, more specifically, trans rights. It's about education, and it's about immigration and all these global and climate change. It's about these things that really matter, right? Things that affect all of us.
Yeah.
And so why the fuck? Like, Trump hasn't done shit in 4 years, and he keeps saying, well, you had 42 years to not do anything. My boy has been involved in politics for 42 years and has done some things.
Right.
He's never been a president of the United States, but he has been in the White House. And he was in the White House for 8 years next to a president that was doing a lot of things.
Right.
And was working in a very unconventional circumstance. I'm not even saying unconventional because he was a black man in the White House. So they were very conventional things, unfortunately. But he was working in very unfortunate circumstances, trying to get all these different things across. Like, he was working he had a Republican Senate too.
Yeah.
But he did what he had to do, and he left his mark. And Joe Biden was right next to him, trying to figure out all of that stuff.
Right. And dealing with the house.
And, okay.
They raggedy asses.
So, for what it's worth, we got a man that's not qualified, and we got a man that is.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid, America. I ain't got time for bullshit.
That should be a campaign slogan right there.
Don't be stupid, America. You know what?
That is
come out with a little thing. Don't be stupid, America.
That is great marketing.
I'm gonna drop that around November 3rd, November 2nd.
And that's just
November 2nd.
That's just that.
Don't be stupid, America. When y'all see that pop up on the BG on Instagram, share it, tweet it, like it, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's where I'm at. But
Yeah.
social justice is,
There's so many layers.
there has to be justice. Like, period.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's just how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sean, what you thinking? What you want the good people to know? What you gonna leave them with?
There are literally so many things going through my head right now.
Same.
I think, I don't know. I just want people to have a higher level of self-awareness when it comes to all of this stuff. Before you just back someone or go with certain people who are running, think about how this. One, think about yourself and your daily struggles, and literally not only look at their track record, but what they're saying about the things that you personally identify with. I don't think we have that level of self-awareness, and I know I definitely did it when it came to elections in the past. I just sort of like, all right, like, this is what my party is going with, you know. I definitely can say I'm a person who fell into that, and, you know, I trusted my peers, but it's like, all right, what am I personally going through? And I think that's what further, you know, gets your motivation up to vote, you know, to fill out your forms, get your absentee ballot, you know, all those different things. So we talk about a huge lack of motivation of voting and people just not feeling like it matters. No, I think it
very much so does.
I think it matters, and if you care about yourself as much as you say that you do, all right, have that same care when it comes to the shit that is gonna affect you when it's time for you to, you know, choose and make those decisions about yourself.
If you can tweet about it, you can vote.
You can fill out your absentee ballot application. You can stand in line at the Kroger, get you a 10-cent stamp. Well, I think you can only buy the book, but buy the book because you need to support the USPS, which is Trump is trying to undo as a whole. So it just comes full circle with all of it. So have that high level of self-awareness. Like, it impacts you. You don't have that I don't give a fuck attitude. The people who are going to be in office going to have that I don't give a fuck attitude. And it's going to show. It's going to show. That's where I stand. If you care about yourself, go vote.
And on that point, I mean, on that.
On several points.
Like, take a load off y'all. You know, kick your feet up. You know, get you some tea. Like, get you a pedicure. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you take a hot bath, get you some, I was about to say flavored Epsom salt. Get you some scented Epsom salt.
Eating the Epsom salt.
Honey.
Yeah, put it on your food, baby.
My strange addiction.
I'm addicted to eating Dr. Till's.
And
Epsom salt.
It has to be Dr. Till's.
No, because you'd be like, you know, I tried the Great Value.
Yes.
I tried. What's Target's
Up and up.
Up and up. I tried Up and Up. You know, I've even dabbled around in Kroger Value, but something about the Dr. Till's, it just the way it just grinds between my
and it's specifically the cucumber melon.
Oh.
And when I was younger, I used to sniff my mother's bottles from Bath and Body Works. So I think, and I miss my mother because she passed away like 3. Look, we gonna do the whole narrative.
And then you got the boyfriend. I don't know why she eating that shit.
I mean, I told her not to. I mean, I even tried to with it a couple of times just to make her feel some.
And she says because of her mama, but I think it's something deeper. That's literally how they be. That's how they be. Honey, well, get you some Epsom salt and put it in your bath water and not in your mouth. And just take a load off and relax.
Yes,
honey,
because
it's been a lot going on, but show yourself some love.
Yes.
And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's great.
Period. Well, thank y'all for tuning in for another motherfucking episode of BGO Pod. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at BGO_pod. Yeah. Period.